Spoiler alert. The following will contain spoilers for WandaVision. What's up, everybody? It's me, E-Man, from E-Man's Movie Reviews. If you've been watching WandaVision for any amount of time, you've probably got a number of pressing questions that have yet to still be answered, right? But I'm pretty sure that one of those questions has to be, who is actually in control here? I mean, is it Wanda, or is there like a bigger force at play? Well, my money is actually on Agnes, and I think she's doing more stuff behind the scenes than we might initially think. But even if it were Agnes pulling these strings, what is her actual agenda? Well, after watching a number of WandaVision episodes and one particular MCU scene that I think a lot of people have forgotten all about, I've got a theory that I believe will demonstrate what Agnes wants, how she's going about it, and why. I'll share all of that with you all coming up next. So, I don't know about you all, but it's still been bugging me, like, after all these episodes of WandaVision, what is the deal with Agnes? And I think we can kind of like agree with the majority fan opinion that Agnes is really Agatha the Witch from the comic books. Like, this is clearly the worst kept secret by Marvel in the MCU. So real quick, for those of you who don't know, let me just give you a really fast rundown of who Agatha Harkness is. She was introduced in the Fantastic Four comics as a nanny for Reed and Sue Richards' child, Franklin Richards. She's probably most notably known in the comics for her connection to the Scarlet Witch, where she would serve as kind of like a mentor for Wanda. She's been alive for thousands of years, she can do spells and magic, and apparently she can throw back Hennessy like it was Kool-Aid. Basically, Agatha is a for real witch. Anyway, it might seem as though that, Agnes is like a victim just like anybody else in this trapped reality, right? But I think that we have more than enough evidence to suggest that that is not actually the case. If anything, Agnes is probably more invested in keeping this reality going. Looking back at the scene with Agnes and Herb tried to tip off Vision about Monica Rambeau, but I think Herb had a different agenda than Agnes did. Herb might have actually been trying to tip Vision off so that he could escape the reality like everyone else. However, Agnes quickly silenced Herb in what looked like genuine fear. But let's think about this. What would she actually be afraid of? Maybe she's afraid of Wanda, but then again, if she really wanted to escape, I don't think she'd have a big issue with tipping Vision off to basically make a plea for help. So to me, the other choice has to be that she is afraid, but she's afraid that this reality is going to stop. I mean, just think, we've seen other victims in this town kind of give subtle clues that were also cries for help. Just think about that doctor when he said that there really is no escape. So I think in this scene, Agnes is really trying to tip Vision off about Monica because Monica is a potential threat to disrupting the reality. Another piece of evidence to support the fact that Agnes wants to keep this going is that she's always being helpful. I mean, just think about it like this. If you're being held captive against your will, why would you actually help your captor? I mean, sure, maybe Agnes has a severe case of Stockholm Syndrome, or she has a vested interest in keeping this reality going. So let's look at some of these examples. Every time Agnes visits, she's doing something to help contribute to the reality for it to maintain. We saw her making that sly little suggestion to Wanda that maybe she should have kids. Then she also just so happened to have a whole dinner available to help appease Vision's boss. The game plan here is that if Wanda and Vision have kids, then they'll be less likely to leave this reality. Also, if the dinner goes right, then Vision would get that huge promotion at his job. Look, having a family and a great job is more than enough reason for people to just stay in place where they're at. In episode 2, you see Agnes has the rabbit for the magic show, again, to help Wanda and Vision fit into the town. But you also see Agnes introducing Wanda to Dottie and the other women in the community. Now, when Agnes did this, I thought this was yet another ploy to kind of help Wanda feel a sense of community and maybe even make other friends. But again, this is just another tactic to keep Wanda in this reality and make it harder for her to leave. Next, we come to episode 5 where, of course, just like in the comics, Agnes offers her services to watch over the kids, kind of like a nanny. Later, a dog just so happens to appear, and Wanda's kids take him in as a pet. This is again another form of attachment that is created to keep the reality going. Plus, we also saw the same dog just so happen to die in Agnes's bushes, and she was the first to find it. But then the revelation was dropped that Wanda had the power to bring back the dead. Now, this was a game changer because Agnes's eyes practically lit up when this was made known to her. Keep in mind that the news of Wanda's late twin had been mentioned 2 times already before this incident. However, it wasn't until Agnes learned that Wanda could bring back the dead that all of a sudden her recasted brother happens to show up. Go back to that scene and listen carefully to what Vision was saying to Wanda right before Pietro showed up. He was saying that all of this is wrong, that what Wanda was doing was wrong, and Wanda almost came to the realization of that until that helpful attachment rang the doorbell. So I'm convinced that Agnes is definitely a contributing factor as to, why Pietro came back, why Wanda has kids now, and any other thing that's keeping Wanda attached to this reality and preventing her from leaving. Now, I don't know if Agnes is like creating Pietro out of thin air or whatever, but I do have an idea of how she could be making Wanda do it. There are a couple of moments in the show where Wanda would say that she doesn't know how things are happening. She doesn't even know how or when this whole reality construct even began. Well, I think the answer to that is pretty simple. It's got to be mind control. And I'm not saying that Agnes is like fully controlling Wanda like a puppet, but I do believe that if she is Agatha the Witch, well then she's got her own set of powers and magic too. Again, she's a real witch. In the comics, Agatha had the power to actually wipe Wanda's memory and made her forget all about the fact that she had children. For the sake of the MCU, I think it's probably a little different. I think Agnes is using a form maybe of hypnosis and maybe the power of suggestion. When she ever so casually mentioned having kids to Wanda, that right there could be the power of suggestion at play. Or when she asked Wanda about her ability to raise people from the dead. These could be ways that Agnes implants the ideas into Wanda's subconscious unbeknownst to Wanda. So let's consider this. The Avengers in this world, they're pretty famous, right? They're pretty popular, and they're well known. People know who Wanda is, and at least to some degree, what she's capable of. Maybe Wanda really was seeking a way to deal with her grief and emotions after the loss of Vision and other people she cared about. Maybe Wanda goes off to see a therapist, and I don't know, maybe that therapist happened to be Agnes. I could totally see Agnes pretending to help Wanda and hypnotizing her to do things subconsciously. I mean, we've seen people hypnotize others into doing things and the person never realizing what they're actually doing. I mean, would it be far-fetched to believe that Agnes probably hypnotized Wanda to go into S.W.O.R.D. and grab Vision's body? This would be similar in the comics when Wanda was convinced to attack the Avengers because she was told that they took her kids away from her. Even if all of that were true, it still begs the question, why?
Why?
What does Agnes even want with Wanda? Does she just want to see chaos ensue if this reality construct is made? I mean, that didn't really make a lot of sense to me, so I had to kind of like change the question. Not like what does she want, but the real question is probably what does Agnes gain in manipulating Wanda? And that's when it struck me. Agnes wants the same thing that every villain wants. Power. But let me explain, because I had to kind of go back, put my Marvel hat on, and kind of think of the bigger picture, right? So let's go over what we know, what's happened in the MCU before, and how that could connect to Agnes's true hidden agenda. One thing that we know is that Wanda will be appearing in the sequel to Doctor Strange for some reason. Now, many people have speculated that the Doctor Strange sequel was going to have Nightmare or Mephisto or some other grand villain. However, I think Marvel's already told us who the primary villain is going to be. And for that, we have to go back to the final scene of Doctor Strange, and I think some people might have forgotten about this. Mordo is not only the most likely villain for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but he may also have revealed an important clue that could tie into Agnes. In the post-credit scene, he says, "I've been away for many months now, and I've had a revelation. The purpose of a sorcerer is to twist reality out of shape, stealing power, perverting nature, like you." Tell me that is not exactly what's going on in WandaVision. Is Wanda not twisting reality out of shape? Is she not perverting the nature of things as she remixes them? Now, if Agnes really is Agatha the Witch, and if she is like a sorcerer or whatever, and she deals with magic, then it would make sense that she might really want to steal magic or power from Wanda. I mean, this is the only thing that makes sense to me as to why Agnes would be so invested in keeping Wanda here and having her do more magic, bigger magic, I guess, or using her powers to a higher degree, because it just allows Agnes to steal more power from her, maybe grow more powerful herself, just like Mordo did at the end of Doctor Strange. So in other words, the more powerful Wanda becomes, the more powerful maybe Agnes becomes. Look, all I'm saying is, if this theory is true, we could probably kill all that Mephisto talk for now. I mean, Mephisto can still come about, but I think this would actually make Agnes or Agatha the actual primary villain in this case. And I mean, maybe we get some sort of like Harry Potter wizard standoff battle at the end of WandaVision, and Agatha and Wanda go at it. I mean, they did kind of have their conflicts in the comics too. Anyway, that's just my theory as to what I believe is Agnes's true hidden agenda. Obviously, I could be completely wrong, and that's okay, because, as always, this is just for fun. So you let me know, what did you think about this theory? Do you think it's 30% possible, 50%? Maybe it's completely wrong. I don't know. If you have your own theories as to what you think Agnes really is up to, I'd love to hear them. Please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget, this Friday at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, I will be going live once again, just to kind of give my live reaction after the latest episode of WandaVision. So please come and join me if you haven't already, and if you kind of like what you see, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss out the next time I drop a video. Thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my video. I absolutely appreciate it. In the meantime, I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all, and until next time, I'll see you all later.